So just for getting oriented, here's a look at the front wheel well.
This is an 83 MC9, former New Jersey Transit, right?
Yes, definitely. But I removed the kneeling function, so it's a pretty basic airline setup.
So why are you showing all this jacking stuff?
Oh, I don't know why. Feel free to skip ahead, but I rarely see much focus on the safety issues, so thought I'd show jack points and cribbing I used.
Fair enough. We always have to be thinking about the 15 tons of steel on top of us.
Especially in earthquake country. I used 18 to 24 inch 4x4 fir cribbing.
Is fir actually a hardwood?
Technically not, but from everything I've read, it performs like one.
So it's okay for cribbing?
As far as I know, yes. Crane operators use it for mats, firefighters for cribbing.
I guess if you have oak or some true hardwood, you'd be even better off.
Yeah, if only I were so rich and lucky.
At least it's not pine.
Here's the Bendix AD2 air dryer in all its glory.
It kind of looks like it was exposed to a lot of bad road stuff.
Yes, New York and New Jersey winters probably aren't that fun for the underside of a bus.
It looks like you've removed the cover for the purge valve.
Yes, the original plan was to rebuild the purge valve in place, but you know how such things go.
I most certainly do. Anything I want to fix on my bus takes 3 to 4 times as long as I planned.
Well, that's expected. It probably costs 3 to 4 times as much as expected also, right?
I mean, honestly, the story of my life.
Back to my air dryer removal story, nothing I tried would budge that 2-inch diameter hexagonal purge valve.
Okay, so then what?
Plan B, which I alluded to earlier, which was to take the whole bottom cover off the AD2.
Sounds simple enough.
Honestly, it shouldn't be that hard, really. Just a large retaining circlip or split ring. One trick is to jack up the cover to relieve internal spring pressure.
Got it.
You know, next time I just wait till the air dryer was removed and do it on the bench.
That seems perfectly reasonable, probably smarter.
Because the bus wasn't perfectly level, neither was the air dryer.
So, was that a problem?
So it jacked kind of sideways?
Sounds bad.
Not really, or at least I don't think it was. I mean, at least I got the retaining clip off.
I mean, that's something, right?
Yeah, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get the lower cover off.
That figures. So what then? Plan C?
Yup. Honestly, at this point, I decided to just remove the entire AD2 dryer.
Kind of makes sense.
Like I should have done from the beginning.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Actually, knowing what I know now, I'm sure this would be a much faster job next time.
And probably easier, right?
Especially here, because I'd never seen inside a Bendix AD2 air dryer.
Well, isn't there a service data bulletin from Bendix showing the guts of these things?
Yeah, sort of. But either I'm too stupid or the technical writers were slightly lazy.
Or both.
Watch it. As a matter of fact, certain things seem to be missing from the diagrams.
Like what?
Oh, you know, little things, like the 75-pound spring.
What's it there for?
The spring's there to hold down the desiccant as far as I can tell. But I'm not sure.
Wasn't it clearly shown in the schematics?
Not really, that's the problem. I'm sort of confused about how this all goes together.
Oh, that's not good.
Hopefully I figure things out by the time I have to put it back together.
I think you will, pretty sure. Looks like you completely forgot to video the air dryer removal.
Yup. If I remember correctly, it was just 4 7/16 by 1 inch bolts.
Nice.
With lock washers and nuts in super awkward locations.
What was awkward about them?
The nuts were on the back side, inside the C channel mount.
Got it.
And not a lot of room for a wrench.
I think I understand. Too bad about the video.
Sorry about that. I'll just say interference was worse for the bolts next to the housing clamps.
No worries, things happen.
You can see I'm covering the open lines because it was end of day and rains were coming.
What did you use?
Ziploc snack bags and zip ties. 2 different kinds of zips, but they worked.
That's a pretty good idea, actually.
I thought so. Here I decided to get serious about removing the lower cover.
I'm not sure what I'm seeing. What are you doing?
First, I tried the usual rubber hammer to loosen it. Remember that the retaining clip is already removed?
Did that work?
Nope. So then I put it in the vise and used the housing as a lever.
Very clever.
I was pretty happy that it worked.
You're so clever.
Here I'm removing the top plug from the purge reservoir
Why was that?
because I wanted to see what was holding things together.
Could you see anything?
Not much. Just the top of the canister bolt
Pretty boring, actually.
and the inside end of the check valve fitting.
I guess that's something.
I did take some baroscope video inside, but I'll spare you that for now.
That I like video.
Okay, maybe sometime later.
Sounds good.
So I'm stupidly thinking that the canister should come out now.
What are you doing?
Slamming the housing on the ground, trying to dislodge the stuck canister.
What's wrong with that?
Everything, unnecessary for one. Second, the canister bolt apparently screws into an internal partition in the middle of the housing.
I guess you proved the housing was pretty tough.
I suppose, but not something I would do next time.
I guess that's one way to stress test an airdryer.
I'd rather not talk about it.
Fair enough. It's part of the learning curve.
Moving on. Here I am removing the purge valve with two 24-inch pipe wrenches.
The purge valve at last.
Yup, the purge valve indeed. The lower cover has purge holes, and it might be just a tad corroded.
Just a tad.
I thought I needed to remove the canister bolt with a 1,000 foot-pound impact wrench.
Seems like a bit of overkill.
Yes, but I was hoping the impact wrench on the bolt would loosen the spring retaining lock nut without another wrench.
Why not just put a wrench on that nut, too?
Because I couldn't find a way to access the lock nut below that middle partition.
I think I understand, but I'll have to look at the schematic diagrams again.
Notice how the internal spring pushes the desiccant canister out, but only so far.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's also very inconvenient.
How so?
The spring retaining lock nut is just spinning on the other side of the canister top.
So if the canister top is stuck inside, you can't get the canister out.
As far as I know, right?
So what's the solution?
One trick is to wiggle it back and forth, but there's not much space around the canister.
Did that work?
That would be negative.
Uh-oh. That sounds bad. Can't access from top, can't move from bottom.
So at this point, the canister bolt is completely unscrewed from the housing partition.
So what is preventing it from coming out?
Honestly, not that much. I should have anchored it to something and yanked harder.
You mean like with your truck?
Yeah, or something like that. Only thing holding is the lock nut on the other side of the top ceiling plate.
So instead, what did you do?
I figured I could just cut around the canister bolt, remove the canister sides, and wiggle it free.
I guess that worked. And then what?
Well, first of all, out came the desiccant.
I see the spring and canister top are still inside.
Yep, and so are the top and bottom desiccant screens and filters.
So you cut them?
Oh, I thought that would give enough side-to-side leeway that I could work that canister top out.
Did it work?
Sure did, and pretty easily. I think if I had known how it all was put together, I could have saved the canister.
But you have another, right?
Yeah, I bought a rebuilt canister. I think this was my best idea yet.
What do you mean by that?
Just using the weight of the outer housing to bounce the top ceiling plate out.
Looks easy.
Embarrassingly so. Should have done this as soon as I unscrewed the canister bolt.
Ideally, you would have unscrewed the whole canister, right?
Yeah, but I think the O-ring friction around the top ceiling plate was too much.
Plus, it's hard to get a grip on the canister shell.
Very true. So you can see the lower part of the housing interior has been painted.
Was that a good thing?
Not as far as I am concerned. Paint didn't hold up.
Probably trying to stop rust.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right, but it actually made things worse.
How so?
The paint flex broke up and could have caused purge valve leaks, plus it was hard to remove the canister.
So that's the lock nut that gave you so much grief.
Yep, sure is, right above the canister top cover.
So what's the intended removal process?
I think the canister top ceiling plate is supposed to come out with the bolt all at once.
With no cutting?
I would hope not. I might have been able to do it.
Was there something wedged in around the top O-rings?
I suspect there was something up there. Not sure what.
So now it's cleanup time.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that, but it has to be done.
Plus, isn't there something about rebuilding or replacing check valves?
Well, the top ceiling plate internal check valve should come with the rebuilt canister.
And the discharge check valve?
I think I have a kit for that too. I need to check. I think I bought a rebuild kit.
And what about the pressure relief valve?
That moved pretty freely, but should probably bench test it.